The first couple of pages you'll see in the pile, most of the discussions we're going to be having are going to be associated around the general fund. I mean, we pretty much know that utilities are a utility-ran entity. Utilities pay for themselves. And then everything else falls into the governmental fund. Well, the governmental fund, for the most part, is made up of the general fund. Now, when I say general fund, that does not mean that everything in the general fund can be used anywhere and everywhere. And as we talk more and more about this over the next couple of meetings, you'll kind of understand what I mean there. Some examples are road use tax money. We receive roughly $200,000 from the state a year for road use tax money. Well, that money has to be used for a specific purpose related to the roads in some form or fashion. Then, of course, we also, inside the general fund, we receive local options to sales tax money. Lost money, as it's sometimes referred to. 20% of that has to go towards the reduction of paying off debt service, basically, is what you use it to reduce the tax burden. So just to give you some perspective there, even within it, a lot of people look at our property taxes. We received, this current fiscal year, to give you an example, we'll be receiving roughly $702,000 in property taxes. But of that, not all of that can be used as you might want to use it. Only about $345,000 of that is not earmarked for particular purposes, whether it be liability insurance, whether it be debt service payments, or whether it be FICA, IFRS, some kind of other benefit of that nature. So of the 702, only 345,000 is not earmarked for a particular purpose of use.
That's the 810, right?
That's the 810, roughly. Right. That is the 810. So the first page basically gives you an example of the types of funds that come into the general fund. You're going to see there's property taxes, there's some revenue from particular places, like for instance the pool. There's also the airport, the cemetery makes some money. You'll see local option sales tax, road use. Being a member of the fire board, of course, is paid in by all the members, and we all share the cost of the fire department. And then, of course, you have to factor in that there's some grant money that you anticipate receiving within the general fund in a particular year. The second page is the general fund expenses. That's roughly the preliminary expenses that you would expect out of different types of departments. What the tube will basically show you, and it's not exact in this particular numbers here, we expect to have somewhere between $70,000 and $110,000 available to us for the purposes of capital improvement spending, whether that be internal capital improvement spending or external capital improvement spending. I should say that is all prior to going out and receiving grants for any particular projects you want to do.
You said, repeat those numbers again, 70 to what?
$70,000 to $110,000.
Difference between those two.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to, I thought
It will vary roughly, but you can expect
that's for all capital improvements.
under the general fund, under the governmental fund.
Yes.
That's a non-utility based activities. Okay. With that said, the third page is just basically a rundown of tax assessments. You will see where our tax rate has been for the last odd 15 years, how it's swaying one way or the other. I've even given you some information on there to reflect when we had certain bonds go off. I did not reflect when they went off. I did reflect when they went off. Oh, you mean the assessment, the assessed value. We usually start to get word from our friends at the Treasurer's office in November, maybe early December. Sometimes it's mid-December before you hear back, but usually they're pretty good about giving you a heads up on what you can expect. The next page is, and I apologize.
To interject something
Sure.
here, since 1995, looks to me like we have, except for 2 years, we have the lowest assessment.
With the exception of the
And everything is more expensive.
with the exception of the 98, 99, and the 99, 2000 years, our current assessment is the third lowest in 15 years.
Oh, Barb, that doesn't reflect the valuation. You know, if they increase the valuation, if you're
Yeah,
gonna raise
they
$100,
have.
if they increase that and still raise $100, you can lower the millage rate.
I
So you
understand.
still have your $100, but this paper does not reflect the
I
actual
understand that, but
value.
they aren't increasing our values that much. Is your assessed value increased? much as far as your home is concerned?
Yeah, yes, everybody's.
But the rollback, it's going to have.
Right, that's what I meant.